Joining you from Ghana. I'm Daniel, so-called Adelaide. Today we're talking about enabling potential through the conditions that a whole living being lives in, depending on its essence. So we've got to revisit those first two principles to make sense of this third one. We work with whole living beings. The car can be taken apart, fragmented, and put back together, and it will function, but it'll also deteriorate over time. Doesn't have regenerative capacity. However, let's say a cat or a human, if you took it apart, you could not put it back together. A whole living being is a emergent expression of their own essence. Their essence is a unique characteristic of how they move in the world. So obviously each species might have a general pattern. Cows eat grass, they move around, and that has a role to play in a specific ecosystem. Depending on the ecosystem, it will create different conditions that may be positive or enabling, or conditions that are negative or destructive or degenerative to the various different types of living beings in that place. So when we think about potential, it really is based on how do the conditions enable you to express your unique essence. The great example I like to give, which is a true story, of by Ken Robinson's famous TED Talk, which is there's a young girl who's struggling at school. The school thinks she has a learning disability, asks her to get assessed by a doctor. Luckily, the parent goes to a really great doctor and they do the assessment. The doctor says, look, your daughter doesn't have a learning disability. She's just a dancer. The mother puts her through dance school. She becomes the choreographer for Cats. So what were the conditions at play? A very rigid environment that is focused on academic learning that didn't work with that kid, or a movement-based developmental approach which enabled her to express the essence of that living being, and turned out pretty well. She was enabled to reach a higher level of potential because she was placed in conditions that worked better for her. And this is where it starts to shift into second triad of the regen principles. So recently, as an example for me, is I was doing learning design work, which I enjoy doing, but it was in a context that I don't necessarily have a lot of interest in. And so it made it really hard for me to reach my potential. And so when we focus on creating conditions, we're doing the indirect work that enables us to have a better realization of our potential to do our direct work. You can find out more about that in Carol Sanford's direct work. What conditions can you create that will take you closer to reaching a higher level of expression of your potential? Looking forward to hearing.